Hi, I'm currently working on a big project that really takes forever, mainly because I need to write lots of Python code in the Blender Python API, and my coder only has limited answers for me every day. And working with his mentally handicapped little brother brings more harm than good. So until that's presentable, I want to show you a project I've worked on a couple of weeks ago that has a pretty cool underlying idea, but due to terrible execution and some problems out of my control, it turned into a huge failure. The idea was to combine a lot of source maps from many different games into one big map that I could then bhop and surf through. Since I would use Blender to render all the maps, this map wouldn't be playable, actually it kinda would be. You would see what I mean by that in a minute. Here's how it was supposed to be done. First, I decompiled all the maps I want to use in let's call it the big map. Then I open the Hammer editor, make a new file for the big map, and open the first map I would like to use in the second Hammer window. Now I would copy the map into the big map, but with all the limits Hammer imposes, like maximum brushes and faces and whatnot, having multiple full-out maps combined to one would obviously not work. Therefore I would only copy out the parts of the map that will be relevant to the gameplay. Meaning, for example, the floor, walls, pillars, and any other obstacle that I shouldn't bump into during the run. After filling up the available space on the grid, it would be time to compile the map to make it playable in CS. Afterwards, I would complete the map in-game, preferably on a server that runs the Source TV plugin, to guarantee a lag-free demo file. With Half-Life Advanced Effects, I then can extract the camera data from the demo file and import it into Blender. Now loading the big map, as well as all the maps that were used, and line them up with the big map layout. Then I can modify the maps to guarantee a seamless transition between them. If rendered out now, it would end up with all the maps in all their details and glory, stitched together, and even rendered out path traced with Blender's cycle engine. At least, that was the plan. Now, the long list of issues and mistakes. The first really big one was before it even started. I just wanted to see if I could combine different parts of maps into one inside the Hammer editor. When it turned out that it was possible, I should have started over, should have put a lot of effort into the selection of what maps to include and how to connect them. That the result would not only be visually pleasing but also sensical and interesting gameplay-wise. Instead, I just kept adding whatever popped in my head, without any considerations for the grid layout, the gameplay flow, or the optical chemistry. At the end, my map started pretty much in the middle of the grid cube and went downwards, wasting half the grid size. The gameplay is all over the place. Not thinking about how fast I would go through maps made some of them pass by within seconds, rendering them basically unrecognizable. I will not even go into details that I didn't want to spend too much time on in the process, because till the end I thought I just made this as a little experiment, even after I already invested a couple of hours in it. So yes, Blender doesn't render neighboring geometry with the same texture like Source does. Maybe fixable, I honestly didn't even try. Blended textures are not properly imported into Blender, like here on Jump Christmas. The black part should be white and resemble snow, and some things in maps needed to be moved because I forgot or oversaw them when copying in Hammer, and it turned out that they were in fact gameplay relevant. That included walls and floors and ceilings. But okay, all of that I can live with. Here are the two things that really killed the project. As I said earlier, to have lag-free camera data, the demo needs to be recorded by a server plugin called Source TV. Icarus from the Vibe servers was friendly enough to upload the map to a private server of his to let me play the map and download the Source TV demo. But there is the problem. The Vibe's segmentation tool that allows you to save your position and teleport back to it, which I had to use because the map doesn't play what you would call smoothly or has particularly good flow. This tool has a bug that causes the replay of the stitched together run to show these very weird, very quick spins of the player whenever the teleport feature is used. And with increasingly worse flow of the map, I needed to utilize the teleport increasingly more often throughout the run. This is already looking ugly in the source video renderer rendered version of the run. When rendered in Blender though, which doesn't do any smoothing, like SVR does, it becomes abysmal. I tried to cut them out and put a crossfade transition between the cuts, but it's still noticeable and very irritating. And afterwards, I still wanted to upload it to YouTube, just to show it as a kind of proof of concept, until I realized the biggest, most stupid mistake. I noticed it literally in the last moment, the final watch before I would have uploaded it. Surf Christmas doesn't have the right textures. Most of the map is textured in textures made by me for my first hammer endeavor a couple of weeks before. How could that happen? Well, it happened because I'm too stupid to properly open maps in Hammer. You see, I have a folder on my PC that contains all of the 950 or so decompiled maps I have, together with their respective texture folder. When I open any of them in Blender, no problem, not once. If I open them in Hammer, however, everything is white, because Hammer can't locate any of the textures. I tried to put the maps texture folder inside the game's materials folder, still everything white. And instead of investing maybe 10 minutes to fix this once and for all, I instead decided that it doesn't matter, because nobody but me is ever gonna see the in-game version anyway. So instead of doing it properly, I just replaced some of the textures with the first best I had at hand, which were those I mentioned before, and called it a day. So far so good. The problem is Hammer. But for once, not because it's so bad, but because it has actually one useful feature. Autosave. After a couple of minutes, it saves your map files automatically. So after opening a map, copying out the part I want to use, I not always instantly close the Hammer window with the original map in it, but minimize it instead. And after a couple of minutes, the autosave would now save the map file. And now my custom textures would overwrite the actual custom textures, and when the map is opened in Blender, it would load the wrong textures in now. And when I realized that a couple maps in, sure, it was annoying, an inconvenience. I had to re-decompile all the maps and import them and align them again. But it wasn't hard to see what maps were affected, because these low detailed plain textures would catch the eye on every map but Jump Christmas, because it kinda fits the Team Fortress look pretty good. And with me not knowing the original map, it took me to the very last control watch to figure out that something wasn't right here. But this was after everything was done. The whole thing rendered out in Blender with music and text added in Premiere. That was the point I gave up. There were just too many mistakes and problems in order to pretend it's an acceptable result even for an experiment. And now I show it to you anyway. Explain all the embarrassing missteps, my incompetence, just because I am too poor to pay a company with a misleading name for their soon world-reigning product to help me write basic level code. Anyway, here's the final render in full. See you. Bye.
We both know it right away when I see you dance.